Welcome to Evolve Daily Podcast.
And welcome to the deep dive.
Right, this is where we really try to cut through all the noise and get you the essential knowledge you need fast.
Helping you get well informed without wading through everything yourself.
Exactly. And today, we're zeroing in on something critical. The top 5 ways you can improve communication right there in the workplace.
Yeah, this is huge. We've looked at a whole bunch of articles, research, some key books, actually.
The goal here is to give you genuinely actionable stuff. Things you can actually use to make your interactions better, build a more positive vibe at work,
And hopefully not feel totally overwhelmed by it all.
Okay, let's jump in. What's fascinating, I think, is how all these sources basically say communication isn't just nice to have.
Oh, definitely not. It's fundamental. They're linking it directly to, well, everything. Productivity, how well teams work together, trust.
Trust is a big one.
Huge. But at the same time, the research shows we're still struggling with it in a lot of places. Communication efforts often just fall short.
Yeah, it's a persistent challenge. Okay, so let's tackle the first big area, fostering open and transparent communication. This isn't just saying your door is open, is it?
Not at all. It's deeper than that. Think of it like building up goodwill, a trust bank. One team talks about creating an atmosphere where people really feel safe.
Safe to say what they actually think. Concerns, ideas, even pushback.
Exactly. Without worrying about negative consequences.
Yeah.
That comfort, that psychological safety, that's what actually fuels real collaboration.
Makes total sense. If everyone's holding back, you're missing out on so much potential. It kind of reminds me of that book, Fierce Conversations.
Yes. It really highlights that gap, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Between what people say out loud and what they're truly thinking or feeling underneath.
Right. Those unspoken things.
Understanding that hidden layer is vital. And look at the data from the U.S. Merit Systems Protection Board. They found only 46% of people felt they could speak their mind to management without fear.
Wow. 46. That's almost half the workforce potentially keeping quiet.
It's significant.
Yeah.
It shows a real disconnect.
So what's the fix? How do we bridge that?
Well, the board itself recommends leaders need to actively, consciously communicate openly and honestly. It has to come from the top.
Okay.
And looking at communication styles, there's this egalitarian style mentioned in some research. It's all about mutual understanding, growing together by freely sharing ideas.
Like a level playing field for ideas.
Precisely. Creating that space.
Okay, so takeaway number 1, proactively build that safe, open environment. Got it. What's number 2 on our list?
Number 2 is becoming a much better listener. And it sounds simple, right? But effective listening is way more active than just, not talking.
Guilty as charged. I definitely find myself planning my reply sometimes while the other person is still speaking.
I think we all do that sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a useful framework from Duarte called LENS, listener, environment, neutralize, speaker.
ENS, okay.
Yeah, it's about self-awareness. Understanding your own barriers, what you're preoccupied with, the noise around you, any biases you have about the speaker, maybe thinking it's not relevant.
And then neutralizing those things.
Exactly. You have to actively work to set those aside, to really practice empathetic listening. Duarte makes the point that real listening is more than just hearing words. It's engaging to understand the perspective.
Right. That echoes things like how to win friends and influence people, doesn't it? Empathy, active listening, being core to connection.
Absolutely. It's about making the other person feel genuinely heard.
And valued.
Precisely. Nonviolent communication adds another layer, too, suggesting we listen for the needs and feelings underneath the words, not just reacting to the judgments or the surface stuff.
Looking deeper.
Yeah. And interestingly, that Merit Systems Protection Board data, again, supervisors in places with high engagement, they were seen as talking with and helping employees more. That's a direct result of good listening.
So it's not just good manners, it actually links to engagement and feeling supported. Makes sense. All right, what's number 3?
Number 3, embrace cultural diversity and actively promote cross-cultural understanding. In today's world, workplaces are just getting more and more diverse.
Yeah, you can have people from everywhere on one team. Different backgrounds, different communication norms.
For sure. And one team points out that these differences, even just language nuances, can easily cause misunderstandings if you're not careful.
So organizations need to step up.
Definitely. They need to build an inclusive environment where every cultural background isn't just, tolerated, but actually respected and valued.
Okay. How do they do that effectively?
Well, the Culture Map is a fantastic resource. It breaks down how different cultures approach communication, feedback, even making decisions in business. Super practical.
I've heard good things about that one.
It's great. But beyond books, it's about things like actual diversity and intercultural training for everyone. And some sources, like Brief, highlight specific training for migrants and refugees too, helping them navigate the local workplace culture.
So formal training helps.
It does. And also things like buddy programs, mentoring partnerships between people from different backgrounds, even just good welcome plans that consciously address cultural integration. It all helps build bridges.
Right, practical steps to foster that mutual understanding. Okay, moving on to number 4.
Number 4, managing emotions and fostering a positive communication environment. Workplaces can be stressful, right? Emotions are going to come up.
Oh, absolutely. And a tense vibe can just kill communication.
Totally. One team emphasizes how much emotions color how we send and receive messages. So promoting emotional intelligence, knowing your own emotions, managing them, understanding others, that's key.
Providing tools to help people manage those emotions effectively.
Exactly. And there are some neat strategies. Red Cape Rescue suggests trying to assume positive intent from the other person when things get tense.
Assume they mean well, even if it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it's a mental shift that can really de-escalate things.
Yep.
And Crucial Conversations has great advice on speaking your mind fully, but doing it in a way that feels safe for the other person to hear and respond.
That concept of psychological safety again, it seems to underpin everything.
It really does.
Yeah?
And again, the Merit Systems data backs this up. A positive work environment is directly linked to higher employee engagement. People communicate better when they feel emotionally safe and supported.
Makes complete sense. A better emotional climate means better communication flow. Okay, brings us to our 5th and final key point.
Number 5, provide clear, direct, and timely communication and feedback. Sounds basic, maybe. But it's amazing how often unclear messages or delayed feedback cause problems.
Oh, yeah. Ambiguity is a nightmare for productivity and morale.
For sure. Effective communication in the workplace stresses speaking clearly, but also listening carefully. And crucially, asking questions to check understanding. Don't just assume you're on the same page.
Just two-way street, got it.
Absolutely. The Mayor Board also talks about regular progress reviews, consistent feedback, both the good and the constructive stuff.
Right, and radical candor comes to mind here, too.
Yes, that idea of caring personally while challenging directly, finding that balance.
So being direct but with empathy, not just bluntness.
Exactly. It's not about being harsh. And interestingly, some research compares communication styles. Like, a controlling style might work in a crisis if the leader is respected, but it doesn't usually foster growth like clear, direct communication does. And that Merit Board data, again, while most employees find supervisor feedback helpful, quite a few don't, which suggests, we need to get better at actually giving feedback effectively.
For improvement there.
Definitely. And finally, having clear performance goals is essential. You can't hold people accountable or assess them fairly without clear communication about what's expected.
Clarity, directness, timeliness, feedback skills. Okay, that rounds out our 5. We've covered a lot here. Maybe a quick recap.
Good idea. So number 1, foster that open, transparent communication, build trust.
Right. 2, become a better listener, active, empathetic listening.
3, embrace cultural diversity and promote cross-cultural understanding.
4, manage emotions effectively, aim for a positive communication climate.
And 5, ensure your communication and feedback are clear, direct, and timely.
And improving these isn't just like fluffy stuff. The sources show it really boosts productivity, teamwork, relationships.
And overall job satisfaction. The benefits are tangible.
So for you listening, maybe take a second to think. Which one of these 5 feels like the biggest opportunity for you right now in your workplace?
Yeah, where could just a little focused effort make a real difference?
Which leads us to a final thought to chew on. How might deliberately applying just one of these strategies actually shift the dynamic of your very next workday?
Something to consider.
Definitely. We hope this deep dive was useful and maybe sparked some ideas. Thanks for joining us.